Good morning, everyone. My name is Patricia Ceballos. I am the Customer Success of South Europe, and today we are going to see how learn how to use ClinicalKey.com. For this session, we are going to first see how to use ClinicalKey, but before beginning, I want to share with you what it's ClinicalKey and what it's going to be used ClinicalKey. ClinicalKey is a platform where we are going to see and to reach different types of content because of different kind of content. We can use ClinicalKey in different moments in different ways. We can use ClinicalKey to find a quick answer between or during patient consultation, for learning if we are students or we are residents in this first time that we are going to touch ClinicalKey, and we are going to learn and update ourselves to develop or confirm assessment and a treatment plan, for teaching purposes, to keep abreast of the latest thinking, and of course for clinical research. In all these types, we are going to see and we are going to use a ClinicalKey. Of course, we are going to see this information when we go directly to ClinicalKey. And for this, let me go in here to ClinicalKey and directly go. Remember that when you are in your institution, you have this access to ClinicalKey. The address is clinicalkey.com, and as you can see, well, I am in my user, but let me share with you how you are going to see ClinicalKey. So from here, you can see that there is a place where you can write directly your search or browse different type of contents. From here, our recommendations is to create a user because this will be a good way for personalization and to directly enter to the different type of contents, to also if we want to save searches or save content, download also books, chapters, and different type of contents, and for the personalization. Well, from here, what we recommend is to register. So first of all, you need to register, and with your name, your family name, the email address of the institutional email address, and the password. And of course, we need to agree with the register user agreement and click here and do a register. Remind that if you want to receive information from Elsevier, you have in this way the to select your role and then the areas of interest that you are interested or the area that you work, and you will receive information, for example, about this training program. There is another way to register inside ClinicalKey. So depending the institution that you belong, this will be in a different way. So we recommend you to contact directly your librarian or the person in charge of the continuous training to see which is the best way to enter in ClinicalKey. If you are not sure which is the person that you need to contact, I am going to put, well, my colleague here, Bibi, that it's helping me, is going to write down the email that you can contact us, and we can do a bridge from you to your admin in your institution. Okay. Let's see. From here, of course, we need to register. When we have our registered user, the login will be your email, your complete email, and the password. And then we are going to go to we are going to go to login, and then we can be here, and you are going to see that it changed to my name in the upper position, where you can see, well, that from here, all the documents that I save, all the presentations that I want to be saved, or the searches, will be everything in my profile. So it will be easy for me to get back to them without any doubt. Well, from here, we have two different ways to search in ClinicalKey. First, we are going to see this first search option, and then the browse option. From search, we can do directly and type what we are looking for. There is another thing that I want to mention, because as you can see, this platform is in English, but you can personalize the platform. If you go directly to here to change language, you can go to Portuguese, and then you will see the platform in Portuguese. Okay, so maybe this will be better for you when you do a search inside ClinicalKey, and you can localize all the content. So when you are going to do the search, that search needs to be done in English. Okay, it doesn't matter if the platform becomes to Portuguese, all the searches need to be done in English. So from here, we can write down what we are going to look for. And in this case, I begin to write. And if you can see here, the searches in ClinicalKey, well, will give me some recommendations related what we are looking for. If I begin to write information, it will change directly to what I am trying to look. And then, of course, we have different filters that begins from everything that we are looking for, then to books, journals, clinical overview, clinical trials, drugs information, guidelines, patient education, multimedia, videos of procedures, and the calculators. Of course, we can go from here, and we are going to put all this information, and we are going to do a search that it's very easy to see. But later, I am going to give you another search that can be more specific. In this case, we are going to look for diabetes mellitus, and from here, you can see that you have 24,115 results. As you can see, the screen changed in three parts. So from here, we have all the filters that are related with the different type of content. As you can see, articles of journals, books, images, well, all what we have inside ClinicalKey. Then we can filter, of course, by specialties also. And for the dates, since 5 years ago, or if we want only the latest information about the 6 months ago, for example. Inside, in the middle, what we have are all the type of contents in incomplete information. Okay, so we have complete test inside. All the information that we are going to see are accessible and some are in PDF. The ones are related to books and articles are in PDF. Let's go, for example, to this. And then I am going to use the filters, of course. And as you can see, you can read from here all the information about this article. And if, of course, if you are accessing outside your institution and want to access, from example, from your mobile, you can see that a clinical key adapt to your screen of the mobile, and all the information that you have in the left side will be down, so you can go directly to that information, and the fonts that you will find on the right, it's here hidden. So clinical key will show me this complete test. So, and we can directly access through this, or if we want to download it, we can do from here, we can click on the PDF, and we are going to have the in this case, the journal version of the complete test. Okay, so from here, for example, this is an article that it's not right now published in ClinicalKey, so it's an article impreso, and it's an article impress, and we don't have a number exactly when this will be impressed, but we can access this complete test from ClinicalKey, and we can download it in our mobile or in our computer. For example, this can be an article that I need and I want to save it in my profile. I can do it going directly to this star that we have in here. We click on the star and we can create a tag where we are going to name and put all the information that I am going to create about, for example, diabetes mellitus. For Portugal, in this case, I'm going to do this, and I just save this content in this tag. As I said, these are all full text, but we have another version where we can include also contents with that are, for example, in PubMed, and we can include all this information. As you can see, when I did the search, all the articles that I have and all the results was 24,115 results. And if I go directly to include Medline to this button, these results are going to change to another ones. Okay, from here, as we can see, we include all the results related um, to the ones that are in Medline, and we are going to go directly, if we can find someone, for example, this, that with let me go to these articles that are not from Elsevier, and we are going to see from here the abstract, the information, and going directly to PubMed. So we can go to download. In this case, is free full text, and we can download it, or we can see this information in PubMed. So the main idea in here is that from ClinicalKey, we can access not only content of Elsevier, also we can go to access to different type of contents of other editorials and other information that are not from Elsevier, and we can do the same search in ClinicalKey, having all this content. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the results, and I am going to show you how to how how we can directly go and save this old content. Let's see, when I was in the previous article, I went directly to that start and save this content. But from the list of contents, we can, of course, decide which one are the ones that I want to include in my tag, and then I go to save this content and decide where to save it. As I create before this tag called DMPT, in here, I can be sure that everything is in my profile. So from here, let me go to um, Conteudo Salvo, that it's my save content, where all the tags we are saved in here. Well, I have a very long list of tags, as you can see, with a lot of content. And from here, of course, we need to go to the DMPT, that it's the one that are just created. And as you can see, these all seven items are in my profile. And from here, well, I can go directly without doing the same search and doing this procedure again. Another thing that it's very important in here, it's that some of you are researchers, or maybe you are doing a clinical session and you are working in a team together, and you all need to search for different contents and then share with your colleagues. There is an option in here in ClinicalKey where you can share, you can send this information to your colleagues. So you need to go to these items. You can do it one by one, or if you want to send this all the content in this tag, you can go click on this box and then in email and put the different emails that you want to send to your colleagues, and then click on send. Okay, when you click on send, there will all this information will be sent. What we are going to send, it's the links to the different information. So the recipients of these emails uh, need to have access to ClinicalKey, or if they want also, they can have a profile and save this content in their profile of ClinicalKey. Okay, so this is another way to save time. Um, Also sharing this content, this different kind of content with your colleagues in ClinicalKey. Well, I did this search about diabetes mellitus, but if I do the same search using, for example, a DM, that it's the way that we call diabetes mellitus, will be the same results. If I go, for example, in complete text, in full text, we have the same results. Okay, as we speak about this, we have this information about not only journals, we have also books, but in this case, I want you to show there is another way to have all the information related, in this case, with diabetes mellitus, that are in the clinical overviews. What are the clinical overviews? We are going to go directly to um, this, for example, to diabetes mellitus type 2 in children. As you can see, there are different clinical overviews, but in this case, I decide to go in here. Clinical overviews are like the state of art of pathology. In this case, all the information, of course, based on medicine based, that it's updated not only with information from Elsevier, this is the latest information that we have about this pathology. This is very interesting because we have all the key points, the hypnosis, terminology. Of course, we have urgent agents and different type of of scene which is included. How we manage these clinical overviews. If you go in details, you can you can see how these clinical overviews done. They are based, of course, in journals or of articles of articles of journals, in books, in clinical practice, in Cochrane reviews, the experience of physician, pharmacist, drug information, and different other trust sites like the World Health Organization, the CDC, the NCCN, etc. And of course, all this information it's seen by a very strong team that are from different specialties and that what we have here, the names are where are they located and how they work. So you can be sure that this is the latest information updated in here. When you can see it says in here that it's the 30th of January of 2020, it's the latest update. It means that the last thing appear related to diabetes mellitus was in that day, because all the clinical overviews are updated day by day. Okay, so as you can see all the clinical presentation, for example, the causes and risk factors of this diabetes mellitus, how is the diagnostic procedures. If there is a differential diagnosis, you also will have it in here. If you need any treatment, or you can see if the treatment that you are using it's not the only one. You can see all the different treatment options. Of course, that how to monitorize this information, that that treatment, that complications that you can find in this illness, and the prevention and so on. Everything that you can see here, it's based it's based in medicine, and it includes reference that you can find them on the end of this clinical overview. And this information you can see in the same article and the clinical overview, or you can go directly to the reference outside ClinicalKey. And as you can see, there are some of them that are not related to Elsevier, and of course you can see this information outside in PubMed. Okay, so this is very specific information with all this type of content and the latest information about diabetes in this case. As you can see here, we don't have this icon of PDF download, but we have this print information. With this print, we can directly print as a PDF. And of course, we are going to download all this information in our computer, or if we are from the mobile, we have this information in our mobile. As I said in the very beginning, only books and journals are the ones that are based on PDF. Okay, I am going to go back to the results. Well, before going back, I am going to go directly to another way to see information about diabetes in this case, and we are going to go to clinical trials. We are going to see to do this search for only for clinical trials, and as you can see here, we can order this by relevance or for a date. I am going to put here the first one that are the most updated. And let's go to the first one. These are the clinical trials that we are working with, clinical trials that gov. From here, you can see an abstract and all this information about this clinical trial, as the purpose when will begin in this case will begin in April. All the detailed information, the eligibility, the criteria they are using for this clinical trial, the content and location, and of course, we can see more information in clinicaltrials.gov if we go directly in this clinical trial and go from here and see all this information. Okay, so Clinical Key give you the possibility of leaving from Clinical Key and going directly outside Clinical Key to see the clinical trials that we have inside Clinical Key. So this is another way to have more information, not only coming from full text from Clinical Key, also from these clinical trials. So remember, we saw that when we filter for include Medline, we go outside Clinical Key, and we go, of course, when we go to clinical trials, we go outside to Clinical Key to see these clinical trials. Another thing that it's very important for you, maybe it's when you are going to prepare a class, or maybe you are going to a congress and you need some images to build a presentation. Let's do a quick question. Um, where do you obtain all these images? When you are looking for information for a clinical session, or um, for building something, or a class, or for a congress presentation, where do you obtain this information? Please, if you want to share in the chat, and we can see where do you obtain all these images that you use. Well, here I see that some of you use your the ones related to your institution. Another, yeah, in internet, yeah, maybe in Google, yeah. So yeah, you go directly and you don't know where this information is coming from. No, if you go to internet to Google and Google some information, so you are going to see that maybe these images are the ones that you are looking for, or some that are not. So I want you to tell you good news. From here in Clinical Key, we can see all the multimedia that it's included in all this content that we have in Clinical Key. We can go directly to do the searching multimedia. Yeah. If we filter with multimedia, it will be included videos or images, or if we are in the search, we only put in images or in videos, and we are going to have information about what we are looking for. For example, this is a video, no, that we can uh, put in here, but this is another kind of video. And then, for example, we have different images that maybe can be very useful for my presentation, for example. Let's see, for example, this. And for me, maybe this is important. So I am going to click on it. As you can see here, you have a box where you can click on it, and then you can still navigate and see another pages where all these images are. So let me go to another one. We are going to pick three more, for example, 1, 2, and these three. Okay. And when I have all these, the images that I want to use for my presentation, the next step will be to add to the presentation. So this is like the other step that we did before. Do you remember the one of the star related to the save content? In here, we are going to go to the one of this screen because we are going to build a PowerPoint presentation. The next step is to create one. I'm going to name it in the same way, but it's going to be saved in another place. So from here, we save all these images, and we are going to go to, in this case, presentation. Do you remember the ones that we save all the content? It's in the start in Conteúdo Salvo, and there the presentations are in a presentações in this part. So from here, we can see that all the images that we save are in here. And as you can see also, I have a lot of presentations since 2018, more or less. And they are in here, and we can directly save, and we can go to them. Well, let's see. Let's see. For example, I don't want this image. No, we can directly delete it, or we can save it in here. When or or maybe this is a presentation that we are doing now, and maybe later I can't also include another images. But it doesn't matter if I download it now or later. If we can collect another images, we can do it in any moment. So the next step inside of the presentations is going to export, and a presentation in PowerPoint will be downloaded. Okay, so from here we have a presentation in PowerPoint that will include all the images that I save with all the information, not only the image, the information about the details where it's located, this information. So if we want to include it in our presentation, there is no problem because all the images are not attached to the slide, so we can copy and paste and paste directly to our document. But it's very important for you and for us to include the references, that it's where is located this image and the copyright, due to, of course, the information of these images are protected, they are copyright, and you need to include this. When you can use these images, if you are going to build a clinical session inside of the hospital, or if you are going to do a class and you are going to show this information for classes, for classes purposes, or if you are going to present something inside the hospital or the institution where you belong, you can do it without any problem. If you are a student of the university and you are going to build your thesis, of course, you can use this information. But please remember to include not only the image, also the reference and the copyright. If you are a researcher that you are going to write an article in a journal, or maybe you are going to present this this information in a congress and you are going to share the presentation, or maybe you need this information to be um, uploaded in an internet website, all everything related um, to share this outside your institution, you need to do a second step. Okay, so let's go to Clinical Key again, and I am going to explain you how to do this step. So from here, let's pretend that this is the image that I am going to use in in the Congress, and that I am going to share uh, to with everybody, and they can download this information. And I need to be sure that all the copyright information is included. So from here, we click on the image as I show in here. You click, and then you can go and see this image. And for example, in this case, is a book. We can read all the chapter related with this information. We can see where the image is coming from. We can read this chapter, of course. And from here, if you go to the first part of the book, we can find all the book information. And of course, we have this information about how to obtain rights and that content related with the image. So if we are going to share this information in a congress, if we are going to write an article in a journal, everything that will be shared, we need to obtain these rights. As we click on it, we go directly to this format that we need to make the selection, and then at the end they will tell us if we need to pay something or if it's free, but they are going to give us permission to share this information. Sometimes we are going to have this information from here, and in other moments, we are going to have an email. You can write directly. It doesn't matter if you write them in Portuguese, asking permission for using content uh, related with this book, for example. Okay? So this is the way that we are going to use for obtain these rights and directly to the content. Well, there is another type of content that we have in ClinicalKey, and they are related with the patient education information. We can go directly to the search or search using the filter of patient education, and we are going to have this information not only in English and Spanish, we have in different languages. Let's see, for example, we have in here this patient education related with diabetes mellitus and skincare, and we are going to go directly with this. All this information from the beginning is in English, but later we can decide which which language we can see this information to give to the patient. The patient education information, it's in a very easy language, so they can understand since the very first beginning what are this information related for. For example, in this case is about diabetes mellitus and skincare, and they are asking and solving some of the common questions that a patient may have, and maybe because they are in front of the doctor, or they are scared about the situation because they're just diagnosed with diabetes, for example, they don't know or they can do these questions. So it's good because you can give this information to the patient, and then we with the time they can read it and then ask the right questions to the doctor in the next session, for example. In this case, they solve all these questions. For example, what do I need to know about each skin? How can I prevent skin problems? Follow these instructions at home. It's a normal wound and what is an infected wound, and this information about the contact uh, and everything. As I said, this is updated. We just updated some days ago, 3 days ago, this patient education information, not only in English, it's uh, based in other languages. And for going to other languages, we are going to go directly to the print information, and we are going to decide which language we are going to see. In this case, we are going to see the Portuguese that we have. And in this example, for example, we can personalize this information. We can put, for example, message that read this information before the next uh, day, no, the next information. And from here, we can put our name. In this case, if we are their doctor, if they have an emergency, they can directly call us, or if there's an email of the group, no, related with the with this area, we can put it in here or not, and depending on the person, we can build this information that um, we are going to create a PDF information in medium or large or a small text. In this case, we are going to use it in medium. Okay, I'm going to download 3 different languages so you can see that information. It's of course in different languages. So we are going to see, for example, Arabic, Portuguese, and we can build this information also, for example, in Chinese. We have at least 11 different languages depending on the patient education handouts. Okay, so from here, this is the one that we built first. This is the personalization that I made. Okay, and from here, the information, it's in Portuguese. And I want you to show you something. For example, the main one we have that it was in English, and in here the images also are translated to Portuguese. We are going to go to the other one that it's in Arabic. As you can see, the images also are in their language. And last, in Chinese, that is the same information. Of course, this information is reviewed and is translated exactly in the same way as the previous one that it's in English. Okay, so from here you have different, not only the multimedia, you have these patient education handouts. Later, I am going to show you another way to have all this information. Okay, from here, we saw from the very beginning how to look for information from here in the search, but we also have this way for browsing this information. We are going to go, for example, to books, and from here we are going to navigate. From here you can choose in browse the different contents, and this is a way to go directly to this main information that we are looking for. In this case, with books, we can look for part of the name of the book, for example, in card with card in the name. In the filter, you can find also by specialties. If we are looking for obviously cardiovascular, we can see that we have 42 books, and we can go directly to the book and navigate inside the book, do searches inside this book, or going directly to this chapter as we saw before. Okay, the same with journals. The difference in here is that, for example, with journals, if we have our user profile of ClinicalKey, we can go to the specialty that we want. For example, let's see that we are related to critical care, and we have all this list of journals. But for example, there is one that I want to be updated um, all the times that they put something in ClinicalKey. So for example, this is the Journal of Critical Care, and I want to be updated. We can subscribe to the new numbers, well, the new issues inside ClinicalKey, clicking on this in this bell. So as we are in our user profile, we can use this, and the next number that will be published, it will be directly sent to my email. It will, in my email, will be appearing all the links related to the articles of that issue that it's appearing. For example, in here, well, as you can see, we have all the volumes of the next that will be appearing, but as you can see, yeah, we have already the ones related with the April information, and we can see all the full test, of course, in here. And as I see in June, they are in progress, but some of the articles you can download and see all this information. So from the browse, you can go to journals and decide which are the ones that you can subscribe. Well, I am going to cancel this because I have many subscriptions. Then you have all the list of clinical overviews from here, not only the one related with diabetes that we saw. We have a lot of ones included in here. By a specialty, we can decide, of course, which one it's the one that we can have all this information. Then, of course, we have the drugs information. Before, well, I told you that we have this information about the drugs. That includes also reactions, adverse reactions. If we want to see, for example, something related with abdominal pain, and it says directly which is the list. In indications, we can put something, for example, well, I am doing um, hmm, let's put this keratosis, for example, and we have a list of these drugs that we can use for exactly what we are looking for, or directly look for the information of the drugs. For example, let's look for something, well, or from the list directly. Well, we have a lot of acetaminophen that it's, yeah, for example, this abatacept, and we can see all this information related with this drug information, the interactions, that adverse reactions, classifications, of course, the way of administrations, and all the references, of course, included in here. Okay, so this content, of course, we can save, we can download it doing the print of the PDF. And we have a lot of information of drugs information in here. We have guidelines included in ClinicalKey also. We have different of organizations included. We have, of course, by specialty, but the ones that we have a lot of them are the ones related to, well, it's better to go in here, are the NICE guidelines. If we go directly with in the N, and from here we look for NICE, that are the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence. We have 2,140 guidelines of the NICE guidelines included in ClinicalKey, and of course you can go inside of them and read them. And there is another thing that I want to mention, that this information of the guidelines will give you, sent to you to another place outside the ClinicalKey. And we, of course, we can save, we can send this information, and so on. Another thing that we have in here are the procedures in video. I am going to show you. Yeah, so if we want to hear this, I am going to share again, but with sound, this information. And from here, let's see something. For example, now that that we have all the vaccines, for example, in this case, we have this injection shoulder, and it's the procedure of how to put this vaccine, for example. I am going to show you the video, but first I want to show you all the information related, that are the indications, the equipment that we need to do this procedure, all the procedure in itself, if there is a complication, how we can manage, all the information, very specific, and of course, based on evidence with different references. As we said, we can see the video.
Shoulder injection of steroids is a safe treatment for osteoarthritis or inflammatory arthritis of the shoulder joint.
So in here
As
you
with
can
all
see
joint injections, sterility
that information
1%
about
lidocaine without epinephrine
this,
or 0.5% bupivacaine.
This procedure, step by
not
step.
inject steroids into a potentially infected.
And then you can see all this information from here. Okay, so if we want to use this video, for example, for a clinical session or for a class, you can do it. The only thing that you need is to click on the URL that it's in ClinicalKey, and from here copy and put it in the in your presentation, and then click on the links. Of course, if you are in the institution that it's related with this access to ClinicalKey, you don't need to put your login. If you are outside, you need to be in your profile. Okay, so well, more or less, this is all ClinicalKey. There's something that I want you to show you in the end of this training, but before ending, I want you to solve these questions that I have about ClinicalKey. If everything is, if you understand everything, we have some questions to see if you understood or I explain it better, this information. The first one is, what is the purpose of having a personal ClinicalKey.com account? you have multiple choice. So not only one of these answer the correct. So there are several ones. The second one is what kind of content can I find at clinicalkey.com? And the third one is what kind of content in ClinicalKey is linked to an external content. And they are answering, 40% are answering. Let's see. At least two have our 50% or 75% of participants answering these questions. We have 40. It's anonymous, so don't worry. Don't worry about this. And there is another thing that I want you to share, that I want to share with you, is that at the end of this training, you are going to receive in more or less 2 or 3 days, maybe next week, you are going to receive the all the information about this training. You are going to receive the recording, and you can have the possibility to have also a diploma of this training. Okay. So, well, we have the 80%, so I think it's fair. I am going to share with you the results, and we are going to see which is, if you were right in this case. What is the purpose of having a personal clinicalkey.com account? For my name to appear in the upper right, yeah, it's one of them, because if we are not in our profile of ClinicalKey, it won't say my name. No, it's the personalization. Yeah, it seems to be rare, but this is one of the of these answers. To create labels, create presentations, of course, 100 of you said this. To share content, of course, we can share content if we are in our profile and ClinicalKey. And to use filters. No, we can use filters if we are outside our profile. But if we are, of course, in the university and we go directly to another thing, for example, flu. No, I go to flu, and then I can filter the results of this search. Well, my internet's going slow. Well, let's see that it works, and then I'm going to show you what kind of content can I find. Well, here I have them here, the filter, sorry, and we can filter, for example, and we are outside our ClinicalKey. Okay, so as you can see, we can use the filter without being in our profile. What kind of content can I find at clinicalkey.com? Clinical trials, great. Procedures videos, of course. Information not based in clinical evidence? Nope. All the information in ClinicalKey are based in evidence, so yeah, this is not correct. Patient education handouts, of course, and we saw them. Cooking recipes for lockdown, yeah, we don't have them. Maybe in the future. Books in English, yeah, we have books in English, of course, inside ClinicalKey. What kind of content in ClinicalKey is linked to external content? We have books, journals, patient education. Nope, because they are inside ClinicalKey, and we said there are external content. And we have guidelines, clinical trials, and Medline. Of course, there are the ones that we go outside. Do you remember that we went outside ClinicalKey and see this content?